Arcade Heroes.
Get ready!
Greetings, it's Adam with ArcadeHeroes.com, and we've got some arcade news. Huzzah! Finally, where the summer has so far been uneven. I mean, we've had Resident Evil 2 news and such, but other than that, there's not been a ton of things going on. I should also mention Soda Slam and Missile Command Recharged, which those two I got into my arcade recently. But anyways, as you can see on my screen here, I'm on SegaArcade.com, and we've got Ubisoft All-Star VR. Now, before I get too deep into this, let me hop over to ArcadeHeroes.com, where earlier this year, back in May 31st, I guess this would have been at the start of the summer, or technically that's spring, but we reported on this location test that had been spotted of a game that has a VR headset on it, has mounted guns, motion seats, presumably wind effects as well, but it was tagged as LAI Games. Also, if you zoomed in on the actual image itself here, you can see where it says patent pending LAI Games, and activate Windows on that one. I guess you don't really need to activate Windows when it comes to location test stuff, right? But as we saw here, he had this giant curved screen on there, which is actually LED dot matrix or micro LED matrix displays. Not sure exactly what type of headsets were being used. Most likely one called DPVR. But today, Sega, in the run up to their presence at IAAPA Expo Europe, which is happening near the end of this month, or I guess latter half of this month, I think it's like the September 23rd through the 24th, 25th in Barcelona, Spain. They are going to be exhibiting there, and so Sega wanted to promote what they've got going on. Now it's confusing because it's like, why is Sega selling something that's LAI Games? I thought they were different companies. Well, yes, they are different companies, but one thing that's important to remember about the arcade entity of Sega, known as Sega Amusements, also there's Kaizen Entertainment, which is the company that manages Sega Amusements, or something that's a little bit weird. But for many, many years, Sega Amusements has operated as a distributor of equipment across Europe and the Middle East. And so they're both a manufacturer and a distributor, which is unusual. And I think it's just because of how things have been set up in the industry a long time ago. These days, here in the United States, I can't think of anybody where it's set up like this. Whereas you have Sega Amusements there in Europe, you also have Bandai Namco Amusements Europe, which does the same thing, and this is what causes maybe some confusion for newbies to the industry when they go to an event like IAAPA at the end of the year, where you have the Bandai Namco Amusements booth, but you have all these other products from different companies like Adrenaline Amusements and Raw Thrills, and that's because at IAAPA, a company like Bandai Namco will have their European arm there, which again is more distribution. Now, they do have some manufacturing as well, but it gets complicated with all the stuff. But just getting that out of the way first so that you can understand what this is all about. So this is an LAI Games product, but because this is a European trade show, and that's where Sega does have a lot of customers that they sell equipment to, then that's what we got here. But blowing it up, as you can see, this is actually looks to be almost the same cabinet design as what we had seen months ago. So it doesn't appear to have changed too much there. With your two-player, you have D-box seats and such. Now, the description on the Sega website does mention that it's like a 17.4 foot LED wall. So it's a pretty huge screen on the back there. So anybody that's watching this is definitely going to be drawn in by that. But one surprise is that this actually has a four-player configuration, which is really just linking two of them together. but I guess that means you'll be able to experience the same um, events in the gameplay, the same levels, or perhaps you can do them at get them started at different times. Doesn't have to be linked. Now, there was a mobile game that, or browser game that is called Ubisoft All-Stars Blast, which looked terrible. It looked like it was a flat. I mean, I don't even know if saying it was Flash game quality would have given it justice. It just looked that terrible on there, and when I tried clicking a link, it wasn't working on that. Some Ubisoft might have removed it, but this is not taking the mobile game and slapping it into an arcade cabinet and giving it VR. It's taking the general idea of it, which is to include the universes of Assassin's Creed, Splinter Cell, Just Dance, and Far Cry. There was news that recently Ubisoft sold, I think it was five different IPs to Atari. Interestingly enough, but none of those were like any major Ubisoft things, and so that's where you have that there. I'm not sure why Rayman isn't there. Is I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm too old school, or I'm just too old. But I always thought of Rayman as being Ubisoft's mascot, or it was one of them that I thought of first before anyone else. But for some reason, Rayman's not there. Although not seeing the Rabbids on there either, which of course LAI Games, they really burst onto the VR arcade scene several years ago with Virtual Rabbids, and that of course is where they're taking this license and everything. But again, from what you can see here, this is not a browser game. Here, it's not 2D like that other one was. Now, it does have the same style of characters where they look like Mii's, Nintendo Mii's, and putting them into different, I assume, mini game ish style or shoot 'em up game style, like gun shooter, shoot 'em up game style, I should say, situations. They always appear to have a craft in every single one of these things, and so I assume that's the track you're on, and then you're shooting different stuff. But this one here says Forbidden Islands screen. You've got your Mecha Madness. You've got your Path of Heroes. Now, unfortunately, the description here doesn't say exactly how many, or sorry, never mind. I should scrub that. So it says right here 3 unique VR adventures to choose from: the neon lit city of Mecha Madness, the lush jungle of Forbidden Island, and the mythological ruins of Path of Heroes. Also mentions that you have premium motion seats powered by D-Box G5 actuators. It does not say how many or what type of VR headsets are being used. Again, like I said, I think it's one called DPVR, which has become more of a standard in the industry, as oftentimes other companies like Meta and I mean HTC has been used a lot, but like Meta in particular is just constantly butting heads with those who want to do commercial VR. I'm not sure if something's happened with HTC in that regard, but this mentions that these controllers are Axis haptic controller. Adapts throughout gameplay for steering and shooting. So, also just reading this description, it mentions compete, steer, shoot, and bump into other players. So, I guess in a way, maybe there'll be some instances where it's more racing as opposed to shooting, and then other instances where it's vice versa. Be interesting to see. Now, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go to IAAPA Expo Europe, and but we always have friends that are attending these shows. There's also GTI Asia China Expo, which is happening before this, and there actually will be some news along those. Lots of news, lots of new games coming out of there, including some stuff from Rothrails. But this is not all that we're getting out of Sega for IAPA Expo Europe. Now, I should say that this is the new product that, aside from the test, had not been seen before. But sorry about the dog there. We've got these other products that they're promoting. They have Alpha Ops VR Strike Twin, They have Sub Soccer Arcade, which I filmed. It's on my channel from the Primetime Amusements booth last year. They were also Sub Soccer was at IAAPA Expo last year through the Primetime Amusements booth. But now they're at Sega Amusements Interactive Mini Golf by 501 Fun. And then these games here are all below or have already been seen before. But the one that I was skipping because I just wanted to get those other stuff out of the way first was we have a new standard model of Apex Rebels. Now, why they label it in Europe STD, I don't know. But I've generally seen SD for standard model, and so in the industry, if you're new to it, standard model will usually be smaller, cheaper, fewer features. Then you would have something like deluxe, which would maybe have motion, always has a bigger screen, maybe a few other features, and then super deluxe is everything's even bigger, more things slapped into it. But we have a standard version of Apex Rebels, which ditches the LED dot matrix screen on the top. Or for that was the marquee of the deluxe ones. It gets rid of the motion base. It replaces the marquee with what they're calling a 3D, a glimmering 3D header, which I assume would be a similar effect to what was seen with the Alpha Ops VR Strike, which does have a little bit of parallax and some LED flame effects going on there, which look cool. And so both Alpha Ops VR Strike and Apex Rebels are designed by the same third party company known as Three Mind Wave, which is based out of Hong Kong. And so this should present the pretty much the same type of gameplay again, just without the motion seat. And of course, when you're playing, you're almost never looking up at the top screen, anyways. If you are, it's a very quick glance, unless you're one of those types that likes to look at other things when you're driving, like your phone, and then you get into a car accident or something. But shouldn't be doing that anyways, right? So, yeah, but you can still link up to 4 units. They got photos here of the 2 and 4 and the single. I don't know what the price is on this or on the Ubisoft All Stars yet. As we were talking about on the Arcade Heroes Discord server, it'd be nice to see racing games under $10,000 again. It's been a while, been about 5-ish years since we saw prices in that range. Now, Sega usually was hitting somewhere around $8,200, $8,500 on pre 2020, and but for the most part, the industry's been more 12 to 15,000 for a standard type racing game, and then I think it's like 18,000 to 25,000 per unit on the deluxe games. And so, like the Fast and Furious Deluxe would be 25,000 for the for that, but the standard was something like 13,000. I can't remember what the price is on the Apex Rebels Deluxe. I'd have to maybe ask a distributor and get another quote again. I know I'd been told this some time ago, but I want to say it was under 25. I want to say it might have been like 18, but again, I can't remember for sure. No use speculating when I guess I should have gotten that information before I started filming. But you can find videos of Apex Rebels standard or Apex Rebels on my YouTube channel. And now, where this is all showing up now, I would not be surprised if this means that Ubisoft All-Star VR will become available here soon. That did happen with Virtual Rabbids when it was released. Was that 2017, 2018, somewhere around there, where they had been testing it and then they launched it in like August or September, which isn't common, but there's no rule that says you have to release something on a certain month in the arcade industry. It's just generally speaking, you get more releases within the last quarter and the first quarter of the year. So, and then a few here and there in the other 2 quarters. But again, not sure how much this one's going to cost. I would assume it's going to be on the much higher end. I mean, maybe it's going to be aiming to compete with the Godzilla Kaiju Wars VR, since you have um, some competing ideas there as far as virtual rabbits didn't have a controller on it. Now they did do an upgrade that did allow you to shoot, or or it automatically fire when you would just look in a direction, it would shoot for you. But this actually has a controller to it, and so there's that going for it. So we'll see. We should know before too long. I mean, so oftentimes when these games are announced, there's not exactly pricing that's available yet, unless it's already shipping. And as you can see here, it says inquire now on Sega's site, which means it's not shipping yet. But again, they usually only put stuff up like this when it's pretty close. They don't do it before then, or too far before then. Anyways, let me know what you think about these games, if you want to see them in an arcade near you or not, and what else you might like to see out there. And stay tuned to this channel as well as our website for additional coverage. As I mentioned, there's a show called GTI Asia China. There's quite a few products that are coming, quite a few racers, but there'll be some other surprises to come out of that. But some things that I can't talk about quite yet. We'll get there. But thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.